everybody. Good morning. I guess good morning here. Good afternoon, and oh, that's loud. Other places of the world.
Good evening.
Good evening, if that's where you are. So, Nikki Burnett here, and this is Taste Life Nutrition Radio, streaming live on the amazing KUHS Denver. With the even more amazing Henry in the background taking care of us. And so, Taste Life Nutrition Radio, if you don't know us yet, then what are we all about? We're about truth. We're about health and wellness and fun and life and lifestyle and all of these things that are so important to having the best life that we possibly can and living as optimally as we possibly can and having fun.
Woohoo!
Right?
Right.
But we want to bring truth to healthcare. We want to bring truth to health and wellness because what is there? There's so much misinformation out in the world, right? And we have this access to so much, and how do we know what's right and wrong? How do we know what's truth and not truth? And the biggest truth that I've found is that we are all different. We're completely unique, and that's what we want to talk about here is just the uniqueness of the individual, finding out your truth in health, finding out what it takes for you to be the most optimal you can possibly be and live this amazing life for as long as we possibly can and truly thriving as much as we possibly can. And so, with me, I hope that you already know her, but I would call her one of my greatest friends. I would also call her my business partner, and an amazing radio show host herself. This is Dr. Lynn Tran McDonald, and thanks for coming.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on the show. We were just talking this morning. I can't believe the first time that the reason how I got into radio is because of you jumping onto the show like a year ago, at least a little bit over a year ago. Yeah. And going through so much growth last year in terms of like pandemic. What do we do? And then that's how it brought our relationship together in terms of like, what can we do together?
Yeah.
And we had just met.
We had just met, and I think if we didn't grow, and I say the collective we didn't grow during the pandemic, then it's kind of a lost opportunity.
Right.
You know, because it certainly wasn't easy. We didn't really have a choice, unfortunately. And we have to take these opportunities, these character builders, these times in life that are the most difficult, and use them. Use them to the best of our ability and grow from them. And that's what builds us as people, as humans, and as the better piece, better version of ourselves. Right? Yeah. And so we always start the show with gratitude. And so, do you want to start?
Yeah. First of all, I'm just grateful to be able to be on the show, grateful to have the friendship that we have, and to be able to have just kind of like a tribe, knowing that I'm not alone in a journey of standing up for health in the way that I believe health should be. I feel like we're very much aligned, so I'm really grateful for our friendship and our partnership in what we're doing. And I'm really grateful for just my family and just knowing we're safe. This has been honestly a really rough week with things that's been going on. We live locally in Arvada, and so there's these different tragedies that we hear, and it's not just locally, but we know globally too. And just knowing that, I was just telling you earlier, knowing what I know, how to take care of myself, how to take care of my family. This is just always the foundation, and having that focus. And so I'm just grateful for that.
Yeah. And if you haven't heard, we know, this is a global show. So we're in Colorado. Arvada is, it's just a small, quaint little town. And there was a shooting. It was on Monday?
It was on Monday. Yeah.
And I'm in Wheat Ridge, and it's just across the highway. So for both of us, where the shooting was located, it was right about 5 minutes away from both of us.
We were in town. We were just walking. The location we were at was just a place where we were hanging out the day before. So it just hits close to home. And I know that people who are listening from around the world, you're listening to it, and chances are there are some things in your community that you're struggling with too. And it's just that reminder of during these struggling times, it's like, how do we stay grounded? How do we stay unified? How do we keep supporting each other?
Yeah.
And holding on to that so dearly, keeping hope up. So
it's true, and I think it's so important because we can find ourselves in a negative space.
So easily.
You know, with so much stuff going on, whatever it is for you that's kind of hitting home for you today or for the week or for the year, right? Whatever that is for you, we can find ourselves being in a negative space. And so one of the reasons we start the show with gratitude is to stop that. You know, it's the reminder that there is always something to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And once we start to change our focus to gratitude and not to negativity, you know, if we each do it, you know, this is kind of that big audacious, you know, goal thing, but if we each do it, it changes, truly can change the world very quickly.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say too, I was listening to another show, a great show, and there was a coach that used to coach Michael Jordan, and he recently wrote a book on winning. I think his name is Tim Grover. I apologize if I'm not a sports person. So, however, this person, when they were talking about their book, something that he brought up is, you know, fear is inevitable in every one of us. Fear is there, and you know, obviously the qualities of winning, right? And it's what we choose to do in the face of fear. Do we freeze up? Do we go defensive or reactive, or do we take that fear and fuel to the next process, next step of like, what can I do next? How can I grow from this? And I think, you know, we have all these choices, and during times of when you're talking about gratitude, it's being able to look at fear and say, I know fear is there, and I'm so grateful that I have the skills to navigate around it.
Yeah.
So I think it's great practice that you have.
Starting
the show.
Yeah. No, I think so too, and it kind of brings me to my own gratitude for starting the show, and it is being grateful for the hard times, which can be hard to be grateful when you're struggling.
Yeah.
And you know, I you know, from experience, and we all have this experience, like it or not, but that when we move through it and we start to have that hindsight, you know, we start to look back and you start to see, oh, I am now this person because of this.
Right.
And I did a post in we have we're going to talk more about this, but we have a Facebook group that we've started. I'll show it behind you, called Body Bliss. But I did a post the other day, and it was, you know, what's the kind of that big thing in life that brought you to where you are today? And, you know, and this usually a struggle, and one of the big things, and I've said this before, but it was just moving to Colorado. Was much more of a struggle than my husband or I ever anticipated.
Yeah.
And it was a long struggle, but I wouldn't be sitting here. I probably wouldn't be a nutritionist. There are lots of things. There's such happiness and satisfaction with where I am now, and then thinking, okay, what's next and what's next and what's next. But getting to this point was like, holy smokes, that was hard. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it is, you know, we think about a universe or God, you know, gave us that because if we had those obstacles, you had those obstacles likely because something big, greater source knew that you were capable of overcoming it.
Yeah. And
you were given that, dealt with, because if you were meant to have this gift through all the trials too, and truly believe in that. Yeah,
I totally agree, and it is a gift. And so, yay. Okay.
Yes.
Let's move into the fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was really what we're going to talk about today. I feel like is so applicable to what we're talking about.
I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect now, and it's going to be perfect at, you know, many other times as well.
Absolutely.
But you know, understanding, you know, in life there is, you know, the frustration and the overwhelm, and, you know, what's causing it and why is it happening. And so, you know, these are the things that we want to really hit on today. And we're talking a little bit about lifestyle design, and so lifestyle design being, in the realm of health and wellness, but going, health and wellness covers so much. It covers our environment, it covers our stress, it covers our brain, it covers our physical and mental and emotional health, it covers our relationships, it covers really everything. And those are the things that really can sink us or move us forward. And then it's that mindset that allows us to be sunk or to move forward.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I think in the midst of, what you're trying to say is, I think another way I see it is we're in the midst, it's like a jungle. Like there's just like rattlesnakes, there's all sorts of different things that's in front of us that we can't see what's on the outside of the jungle. And we're just trying to survive. And it just feels like the unknown, like we were talking about. It's been really tough. And how do we navigate through all this stuff that is we're going through in transitions and during times of unknown and changes? And then the health aspect of it and all the different realm, I feel like is a grounding point for what we're doing. It grounds us. It helps us. It helps us get reconnected to the vehicle that we are in, so that we can say, okay, my body feels good. I feel mentally healthy. Now, how can I start to navigate through this jungle here with confidence? And that's what I have in my mind when we're in the midst of, when we're creating this, designing your lifestyle. It's like you can carve that path. And so, we both have our own experiences. It's all the stuff we've just talked about, plus, right? But our own experiences with designing our lifestyle, and we don't always understand the amount of control that we have. And I say again, we collectively, because some have more understanding, some have less understanding. I'd say I'm probably right there, right in the middle of that understanding, but always learning and always growing. And what is it that we can do to control sometimes these negative thoughts, or if it's for you, anxiety, is it depression, is it physical, is it the gut pain and the bloating, is it that the brain fog, are there these things that when we want to live our best, we have these feelings, these emotions, because we're not able to maybe care for our family the way that we think we should be able to care for our family, because we're not thinking well. We're not able to get that promotion. We're not building the business. It's not moving ahead the way that we expected it to, because there's something there that's creating a problem, in the inability to be your best. And we all experience that. But, when we're feeling that way and we feel stuck, then things just they can just set downward spiral a little bit. So you're not getting where you want to be because you have anxiety, which creates more anxiety, or you have pain and you're always having to look for the restroom. It sounds kind of funny, but it's really not, because when you're in that situation and your GI is so unpredictable that you're always looking around you going, either I can't go to whatever it is I'm trying to go to, or I have to know exactly where the restroom is. And this is real, and it happens constantly. My practice is full of people that this is happening to. And it's really difficult. And so the goal is to figure out understand where you're coming from, and then we just want to be here to support, which is why we created the Facebook group Body Bliss. Yeah, absolutely. It's really being able to cover a realm of all the different types of conditions or symptoms that we as women we're going through, that hey, we want to serve. I'm a mom, 4-year-old of a 4-year-old, and there are days when I wake up and I'm like, okay, I gotta be on my game, and I may not feel like it, but still have to show up, right? And I know of clients too who have to plan their day around how their symptoms are going to show up, and it's what's so funny is, well, maybe not funny, is we may look really healthy on the outside, but just behind the scene, what are the struggles that are showing up that we need to spend some time and energy to start to turn back and putting self-care in and love ourselves more. And I think that's where the Facebook group that we've created is been a huge part. I'd like to see, Nikki, because, I'm so excited to be able to be on your show today and for us to kind of get more grounded and really, like, I know you have me on the show, we want to talk about body bliss, but maybe we can tie into a little bit more specifically, asking our audience too, what are your chronic health challenges that's keeping you from achieving keeping you from achieving and feeling your best, right?
Yeah.
And for me, from personal experience, I know what's keeping me from the times when I really struggled. It's kept me from being able to run my business, to show up presently, to even bringing in new clients.
Yeah.
To even just the exhaustion that I feel like a terrible mom because I don't even have the energy to be with my kid.
Yeah.
Those are major challenges, and it can affect like sex life as well too. So, relationship with or intimacy with my partner.
Yeah.
And so these challenges, like you're saying, are real.
They are real.
And I think what we're trying to do here is trying to ask our audience too is like, get real with what is it that you're struggling with, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
so the only I get a little frustrated. I love. I'm not saying this well. I wish that we could see people posting right now and telling us, but know this that even though we can't see that, once we finish the show, we can see it.
Yeah.
And we do look, and we look to see what people are struggling with, and we want to be there to answer the questions or even if it's just kind of sit with you and understand. And, because this is what we deal with in our own lives, and we see it in, our clients and in our practices all the time. And so we want you to be a part of, a feed, the feed on the show. So we can, if there's a way that we can help and give guidance and just love on you, that's really what we want to do. So, at some point, I'd like to see that we could be able to see that.
We're going to challenge you to go onto Test Life Nutrition and be able to share with us, because the idea is you're not alone.
Right.
I mean, for the longest time before you and I started working together and even building our program in what we're doing, but even just as an entrepreneur, a busy mom, I felt like I was very much alone. I didn't really have someone to go to or to feel comfortable and say, I'm really struggling with these things.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we kind of push it under and just say, I got to just keep moving forward. And don't you believe, like, it's what's shocking is it becomes this very isolated journey. Health is it feels like an isolated journey the way our system is right now. But in general, we're seeing higher trends spiking of different conditions that's showing up. Like right now, the majority of the cases, 78% of women, or 78% of autoimmune diseases are comprised of women struggling through this.
And so think about that, because that's massive. And what does autoimmune, so let's, just for those who don't understand autoimmune, which is okay, a lot of people don't, I'd say probably most people don't, but it's literally when your own body's attacking its own tissue.
Right.
And so it is a upregulation, or easy terms, it's a freak out of the immune system. The immune system's like, I'm trying to protect you, and I'm protecting the wrong thing, so I'm just going to attack, its own tissues. And so this is massive, and it can affect us mentally, emotionally. It can create brain fog. It can create fatigue. It can create, pain, and all of these things. And if you're struggling, you can't figure out why, it's time to dig a little bit. Right?
Yeah.
And so, and get to know your body and why. The answers are there. And so what I want to impart on you is symptoms are your body talking to you.
Yep.
So listen. We need to all learn to listen. I still have to learn to listen. I'm still trying to listen to my own body and learning it. But understanding that pain, fatigue, all of these things that we keep talking about is not age. It's not bad luck. It's not genetics. It's something that's going haywire, and it's your body. This is what I always do. Let me find. Knocking on the door, saying, "Hey, I need you to listen to me now, because I can't do this on my own anymore." And so, if you can't figure it out yourself, of course, that's when you reach out to the people who can. But to be repetitive, and I'm going to keep saying it. That's why we've created this group, Body Bliss, because we all want to be blissful in our body, and so, you know, sometimes it takes a little effort to achieve that.
It takes true effort. It takes true willingness to be very honest. And I know that that's not an easy topic for a lot of people to say, I suck. And it's not the fact that we suck, right? It's more just, I'm really struggling with these things and I feel so stuck and I don't even know where to even begin.
Yeah.
And, you know, oftentimes, you know, I'm so grateful, Nikki, you and I, since we've gotten to know each other, we have been able to collaborate, if that's a real word, in working with our clients.
Co-manage,
that's the word, yes. And I just remember one of our patients that we shared together, you supported her through the nutritional aspect. Obviously, we supported her from the brain neurological aspect. And this person, she came in and Lyme disease, suddenly her life flipped around completely. She was very much, you know, a leader in her company and very much just, hey, able to accomplish a lot. Very active, beautiful woman. Just, you know, very active, really just a go-getter, a great leader, and successful. And that turned around after she attended her son's wedding, I believe. And it was
his daughter, but it doesn't matter. It was
she
a
was
wedding.
in a wedding and had a tick bite, and all of a sudden there was a shift in her
within months
because she had Lyme disease. And so that started to be brain fog, completely feeling deflated, and just going like she struggled when we worked with her. She struggled with brain fog and just feeling like she couldn't even get the words that she needed to say at work. She had to have post-it notes, or she just didn't have the energy, or her usual routine of going to do yoga or walk was just an exhaustion for her. And this is if you were to meet this lady, she's very fit looking, healthy, appearance-wise, like very healthy. You wouldn't be able to tell that she was struggling with these things.
So it was, most of you know what Lyme is and know how intense it is, but it was severe struggles, and this is what happens with Lyme if you don't catch it early enough. And this was a situation where it was pretty early on, and it just knocked her out.
Right.
Poor thing.
Absolutely. And so I feel grateful that we had that opportunity to be able to be part of that healing journey for her, where, you know, Lyme disease doesn't ever really go away, but the body's more resilient. Maybe Nikki, you may disagree with me, but the body's more resilient as she's eating healthier, she's moving, she's more aware. She had an opportunity to tune into her body more differently than she normally would have. And neurologically, the things that she started to do all together shifted, and even though she may be struggling with Lyme, her symptoms are not as severe as it otherwise would have been.
Yeah. This is actually a really good segue because I need to get in our new sponsor. But so what I would say is it does take a lot of management. I mean, she built a team around her to help her get through this, and it takes a lot of management and a lot of focus. But as I learn and as I grow, which we all do in our practices, is we come along truly innovative companies who are truly upsetting in a good way what we know as the norm in functional health, functional medicine, functional nutrition, functional neurology, right? Those innovative companies, whether it's a device or whether it's a therapeutic, whatever it might be, that you go like, holy smokes, this is probably going to change the way that I practice. Which is why it's a good segue, because Cellcore is our new sponsor, and I truly believe that this is it's a supplement company, but the technology that they have, which enables them to truly get to the root cause of a situation, of a chronic condition, is like no other company that I've seen. And so I'm super excited about them. One, because I've never said this is going to change my course of practice, and so I'm still learning and still growing. But what we look at this advanced carbon technology that this company has, Cellcore, and the science behind it. So I have my little cheat sheet here, but they have, they do the research, they have the science, they look at the energetics, they do the trials. They do all of the things that any company should do to allow a practitioner to be confident in what they're putting out there. Doing research on supplements, I'm not saying this well, but it's so expensive. Most companies don't do it. There are some who do, and there are companies who I use that they do, but it's incredibly expensive. And this is a new company to the market. It's 2, 3, 4 years old. And so going back to what brought us here, to the Lyme disease, they're saying that they have the potential of, it may not be true eradication, but bringing much quicker, much better health and getting rid of the Lyme and all of the co-infections that go along with it, because you rarely see Lyme. You see mold, you see the Babesia, you see all of these co-infections that just bring people down, and it's incredibly difficult. And so when we're looking at dealing with root cause, that's what functional medicine, functional nutrition, functional neurology, that's what it's all about, is finding the root cause and addressing it. And if you don't, you're just kind of moving in circles, right? You're not truly addressing the problem, so it's not going to go away, and you're just getting surface level stuff. And that's the stuff that we don't want to do. This company gets to the potential toxicants that the body is holding on to, the infections that the body is holding on to, the toxicants that the infections are holding on to, right? And so it gets to that, and it helps to clear it out, helps the body to function properly. And I'm just super stoked about it, if you can't tell. So great company, our new sponsor, because they are doing really amazing things and truly innovative in the way that they're approaching health. So we're grateful to Cellcore and all that they're doing. I can't wait to see the new products that they come out with, because I think it's amazing stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, and when you're talking about the root cause, that's exactly what we're getting towards when we're trying to talk about really how do we overcome that cycle that you were just saying, like when you're sick, when you're not feeling your best, and it may not look like, when we think of sickness, we think of people that are like on the bed in the hospital,
right,
like, all wired up. We don't really think, hey, this could be where it's even energy levels. It could be sexual function. It could be even just cognition. How are we retaining information? Are we able to learn? How are we moving through the day? Those are also limitations that we may feel, but we may not necessarily identify as being sick, right? We don't. It's not a cold or anything, but something's just off.
It may not have a name, but it's dis-ease.
Dis-ease, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's good. And we don't necessarily associate that. Then all of a sudden we're just like, how come I'm constantly feeling defeated? How come I constantly feel like I'm anxious or overwhelmed, and I can't get out of this rut? And really, what from our personal experience and how we worked through it, it's really looking at addressing the root. And we think about like the analogy of this, it's summertime right now, trees are green and it's thriving, and it's we think about really, the appearance of what we look like on the outside. Again, it's like, we look healthy on the outside, but what does that look like underneath? What are our daily practices? How are we eating? How are we moving? How are we connecting? And so we're looking at, as practitioners, we're looking at the root cause, the root of how are the roots of a tree actually getting all the nutrients, right? Similarly, our foundation of our health, are we feeding the right type of resources and care and nutrients for ourselves?
So, and real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to look outside of nutrients. This is kind of what we think about, but when we feed ourselves, it's energy, right? So our sleep, our relationships, our past traumas, our environment, it's all of these things are root cause, are roots of whatever symptoms that we might be experiencing. And so literally trauma is massive when it comes to what we might experience 6 months later, a year later, 10 years later. When I'm doing an intake on a client, I look at a timeline. If I see trauma, I'm thinking, okay, this trauma probably has a really big impact on what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
But so does sleep, and so does stress, and all of these things. You can't discount these things because they're all incredibly important, just as food is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, as we're saying all these different things and we're really talking about how we're really struggling, obviously we are we've all looked for answers. And it's just, are we getting those right answers, right? Are we really addressing the true source of what we're struggling with? Like the analogy of the tree, right? So the tree looks pretty, but there's some branches that may be off, or some leaves are not.
Get some dead branches.
So we just clip them by like those. That's just like we find quick solutions to feed that. And so I know for those of you listening, chances are you've looked for a solution. We're searching for solutions. We've talked to so many doctors. We've taken so many different supplements and nutrients, but somehow we're still stuck in this cycle. So, Nikki, I'd love to ask you, like, what do you think keeps us staying in that cycle?
It's not finding the root cause. I mean, it sounds so simple, but it's really, we're stuck in a cycle because we're not finding the root cause. And what we find is kind of what you hit on is we're looking for the quick fix, or the thing that helps that helps everybody. So we look at bad diets or programs that only require massive cardio workouts, or they say it's the 30-day detox or the 5-day detox, or these things that aren't sustainable, and they don't create habits. They don't create long-term sustainable habits to be repetitive. And that's where so much of what we see in our world of health and wellness is these things like in 30 days you can lose 40 pounds. It's the I'm just gonna throw it out there, but it's the Weight Watchers. You can lose 15 or 30 pounds in 2 weeks or something. Like, why would you say that, and why would anybody want to lose weight that fast? Unless there are some obese people who are full of inflammation, and it does drop fast, because once you get rid of inflammation, weight can drop. But let's not say, well, I need to lose. I'm 20 pounds overweight, and I'm going to lose 15 pounds in 2 weeks. I mean, it will come back. It absolutely will come back, and it will come back with a vengeance.
Right. And the biggest thing behind that is recognizing that a lot of the programs, I think, are one size fits all.
Yeah.
And as a consumer, for myself, from experience, I know that we've latched onto, hey, these theories or these possibilities become like rules that we really hang on to, that doesn't necessarily serve us.
Yeah.
And I feel like the other types of limitations behind that is really not really looking at, again, we're going to talk about this, the root causes of.
Yeah, we can't say it enough.
Yeah,
really.
right. It's our stress or lifestyle, right? How did we get overweight in the first place? We're talking about overweight. How did we? How was our immune system compromised in the first place? What type of lifestyle? What type of mentality? What type of trauma did we hang on to that got us there in the first place? That led to these other symptoms that we're feeling. So, unfortunately, a lot of these programs are we look for those solutions right away because we are pleasure-driven creatures.
Yeah.
And
well, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's
okay.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say, but that's, again, that's why they fail, right? And it's not that we're failing, because that's what we don't want to put out there.
Yeah.
We're not failing. You're not failing. We're being failed by these quick fix programs that really, I wouldn't even call them health and wellness companies. I would call them marketing companies, because they suck you in.
They're very skilled.
They are very skilled. Well, it's
Yes.
marketing.
Yes.
I'm terrible at marketing because I'm a science geek.
Yeah.
Terrible. It's so hard.
We're learning every day.
Every day. Jeez. But they're marketing companies that suck you in to the quick fix, and then to buy what's next. What's the next big thing to buy? It's the supplements that you're supposed to be on every day for the rest of your life. Now tell me if taking the same supplement every day for the rest of your life really makes sense, or the same 5 supplements or whatever it is. The body changes. So, we had this discussion earlier that supplements should change, supplements should be pulsed. You know, you take them and you don't take them. You take them and you don't take them, and you change them as needed. The body changes, so exercise should change.
Yeah.
You know, food will change. Things change. The body is not static. It's very, very dynamic. And so what we want for you and, you know, for us, and is that we learn what we need. I'm just to say me, I learn what I need at the place I'm in at this current time. So I want to know, and I'm continuing to learn my own body, what makes it be the best that it can be, what makes my mind be the best that it can be, what pushes me forward, what motivates me, what food makes me feel good, what therapies make me optimize, which would be seeing Drs. Lynn and Dr. Sam, and truly getting to know me.
What's really shocking was talking to your coach yesterday was just how you pointed out is 87% of the time when we succumb to fad diets or succumb to those quick fix programs, 87% of the time we're set up to fail.
Can you believe that?
That is, you know, and we keep, you know, creatures of habit, we keep looking for another shiny thing, and that's there, and yet we're constantly feeling that repetition, and no wonder we're going to feel defeated and exhausted and broke. And broke, yes, absolutely.
I mean, how much money, even if it's just a little bit here and there, if you're spending all this money on things that don't work, it adds up.
And I am so guilty of that in the sense that in my 20s, I'm 38 right now, but in my 20s...
You don't look 38.
Oh, thank you. But in my 20s, I didn't know a whole lot about nutrition. I didn't know a whole lot about health until I got into what I'm studying, but I bought a lot of those, like, fast metabolic thermogenic type of pills that you know, dieting pills that, hey, I hope to be able to lose weight, given at that time I was also struggling with an eating disorder. I wasn't taking that into consideration with added stress, right? And then at the same time taking these nutritional pills that claim that I would lose weight, and that I thought that was going to be my only answer to my problems in my life. But then I would end up taking these pills, not really knowing how much to control, what to put in my body, and I would feel my heart pulse.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right? And just like I would feel uncomfortable and sick, and then I would be like, okay, I'm going to take a break from it, and then I'll do it again. And so I did that. I did those different cleanses that I deprived myself of food and then gorge like 6 or 7 days later because I was not eating.
Yeah.
So
this is not the way to treat the body.
No, it's not the way.
Like
it was so abusive when I think back on it. And man, I did that. And over time you learn.
You do. I have a story that it's really stupid. But we all have our stupid stories. Some of them are harder than others. Right. You know, it's not stupid when you're struggling with an eating disorder. You know, when we're kids or even older, there's so much going on. There's the hormonal shifts, and you know, we have our insecurities, and so it can be really difficult getting through those situations. But then you come out of it the bigger, amazing, beautiful person that you are now. And we don't want those struggles, but you can look back and say, you know, probably have your bullet points of the things that you learned from it.
Oh, right? Absolutely. Like I had to go through that midst of like doing all these different things, putting my body through the struggles, and then very fortunate to be in the field that we're in a health field, to really start to look at, oh wow, like there's so many other components that we really need to address. Yeah. So what is your stupid story though?
So this was years ago. I was just out of grad school, and it was in my first, you know, corporate America job. And you know, I had put on some weight in college, you know, as most of us do, and then I was sitting in an office all the time, and you know, just heavier than I wanted to be. So the cool fad diet at the time was the Atkins diet.
Oh, yeah.
I knew nothing about nutrition. This was before I actually started researching and learning. But, you know, I was like, okay, well, I don't have time to read the book. I'm just going to eat meat and cheese.
I mean, for other people out there, it's like, wow, yeah, I was gonna be eating cheese all day.
And I did, and it stayed here for, I don't know if it was like a week.
Oh,
you know,
gosh.
I mean, it's gross, but it's really funny because I did not move. Nothing in here moved. My belly was out to here. I'm like, what is wrong with me? I literally finally had to go to the store and find whatever laxative that I could find to to make it all move. I was like, I don't understand what I did wrong.
You're right, it did make me laugh.
I know. It's so dumb. It's so dumb, but it's hilarious because it's that story that you have your serious, stories, and this one could have been really bad, but it just was really uncomfortable.
And so Atkins is a big deal because it's worked for people, but it doesn't work for everybody because once again, it comes back down to who are you as a person genetically, environmentally, mentally, physically, those particular lifestyles. And you likely just did not have all the enzymes or proteins needed to break down the cheese, or you may have had sensitivity or inflammation now that we know, like all those different factors.
Well, that and the fact that there was no fiber.
Yeah, right, that's true. Yeah,
I had no vegetables. This is the way that I remember it anyway. Literally, I just went to the store like, meat, cheese, yay! No understanding of biochemistry or, simple body functions. So I'm thankful that I have a little bit of an understanding now.
Yes, absolutely.
But anyway, it's one of the things. For one, it did work, but it was also a fad, and we have to understand that fad diets. And Atkins, there's some good things about it and some not so good things about it. And again, it's understanding you, understanding your body, but then the understanding of what a diet like this entails. I hate the word diet, and I would say probably Atkins is more along the lines of keto at this point. Keto I see very much as a therapeutic diet, and a true diet, whereas it's not meant to be long term. People are going to disagree with me, and that's totally fine. I don't mind that. That's what the world is based on, right? Is disagreement and conversation. But I see it as a therapeutic diet. Now, you got to figure out what's best for you and what is long term, what's a lifestyle, and what's sustainable.
Absolutely. I think, when we talk about diet, it's one factor.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Again, coming back to that tree, right? And we're dressing, the tree doesn't have just one root, and that's like the only source of nourishment that we're bringing in. There's other aspects, and I think this is where we're very complementary. Is I really love the brain, the mindset, and the movement aspect. You're the guru of like nutrition and bringing in all the data and understanding that the importance of our microbiome in our gut, all that aspect.
Yeah.
So, we've combined from our personal experiences and working with clients. You and I, in the last year, have identified 5 foundational roots to health, which is going to direct everything that we've been just describing: our relationships, our sexual health, our just the struggles that we've been overcoming those conditions that's feeling like it's holding us back as women too, right? And so I think this is a really great time for us to introduce those different pillars of health. Like we can just say it out loud. And this is really just about the idea of long-term healing, like longevity, right? And the foundation of that, you can introduce those 5 foundations.
Yeah, so we're looking at gut. Well, actually, we want to talk first, kind of going in order, right? So we've got brain, and we've got gut, and then we've got mindset, movement, and then lifestyle, which is kind of that all-encompassing, because we have to make sure that we're addressing all of the other pieces that are so important, but we're putting this all together because it's all important. It's not just nutrition. It's not just brain health. It's not just gut health. It is everything that we're about that helps us to be our best.
Absolutely. And so I think we can take turns and just talk about from our own specialty in terms of, why these are, we've identified these as our pillars or our root, is everything is foundational. And for me, I say, what research has shown for longevity, when you're thinking about your overall, how your quality of health is as we continue to age, part of that is going to be your cognition, your brain health. And so the brain, if we think about it, I see it as the master system that connects, that has a strong relationship with the gut. how we process different information in our everyday life is all regulated through the brain. The brain communicates to everything else in our body. And so having, you know, what we do in our office is we really focus on the hardware rather than just software. I think of the software as the mindset, the memories, the ability to relate to others. That's more the software. I love to talk about the hardware. How are the different areas of our brain communicating and relaying information as we bring in sensory input from the world.
Right.
And so being able to look at the different ways to see how the brain is functioning, looking at balance and coordination, posture, all those different factors if there's an imbalance to the brain, my point is that's going to affect efficiency and function of how everything else is regulated.
Right.
And then I think that ties into the gut as well too.
Well, it does. You know, it's interesting because one of the fun things as we came together and started, you know, working together was, you know, Dr. Lynn was trained brain gut, and I was trained gut brain, and neither one of them is more important than the other because they're both kind of right here. That's why they call it the brain gut or gut brain axis, is because they are, you know, you heard that the gut's the second brain. Sometimes you might hear that the gut's the first brain. You know, they're so interconnected in everything that they do. You know, our gut is so much a part of our mental and our emotional health. It's 70% of our immune system. You know, our gut bugs are so important that they help to create health, or the wrong bugs can bring dis-ease, right, or lack of health. So when we're looking at the gut and gut health, we want to make sure that we are addressing the gut, but also addressing the brain, also addressing the vagus nerve that is what connects the gut and the brain, and the microbiome that affects all of that as well. And making sure that we don't leave either one of those out, along with all of the rest of the things that are very, very important, because both of those are such a part of mind, physical, you know, everything that we do. If you're suffering with anxiety, it can be a brain issue, it can be a gut issue. Depression can be a brain issue, it can be a gut issue. It can be both, right? Or which one comes first? You know, is it the chicken or the egg kind of situation? So it really is fun, you know, kind of when we go back and forth, because we do have our strengths, but they're like this.
Very complementary. Absolutely. I think, you know, we talk about brain gut, gut brain, and it's really both are the two brains, the two master systems of the body that governs immune function, that governs our energy levels, it governs how we're moving, how we are bringing in nutrients for our body, and that's all necessary. And oftentimes that's going to tie into, you know, our relationship with how we feel every day. You know, from being productive at work and being able to stay, you know, even sexual, like relationship, intimacy. If these systems are out of balance in some way or form, and sex is very healthy, it's very much needed in our own longevity too, but if these two systems, the gut and the brain, is not in balance, that's going to play a role in intimacy. It's going to play a role in that sense of or finding pleasure in bodies and putting it out there. It's necessary. Sex is necessary, but if your body's not balanced that way, that's going to affect it too. You know, the other aspects, so the other pillar that we want to talk about and bring in is mindset and movement, right? And so mindset, I like to bring in this term because I feel like it very much governs our response to our environment, and this is epigenetics. So we think of genes as the sole identifier, like genes define how we are, how we behave, or the outcomes or the conditions that we have. However, the other side to it is our environment and what we are surrounded with. And another component is how we perceive our environment. And so if Nikki and I are in a safe environment, and we're sitting in the studio, but I'm sitting here and I'm freaking out because perhaps I feel suffocated. And Nikki may be in here like, I'm okay, right? We're going to have totally completely different type of response, stress response. And so how we perceive the current situation is going to create a different stress response, and in turn, different biochemistry. It's going to affect how the microbiome in the gut is communicating, and it's going to either build us up or bring us down. And so mindset is a big factor. And the other aspect behind mindset is also movement. Our brain is wired towards movement. The only reason why we have a major nervous system is because we move around. Organisms that don't have a nervous system, that are just static, they're like, perhaps, for example, organisms that sit in the bottom of an ocean floor and they're not moving, they don't really have a brain or a nervous system because they don't have movement. So movement is life. And so a lot of times when we're more static, more rigid, that's going to tie into just perhaps even just disconnect in our body, less awareness of our bodies. And this is going to, again, turn in less awareness to how we feel, or less the disconnect that we may feel when we're feeling discomfort. But my point is, between mindset and movement, that is also a big factor in neurological health as well too, that we pull in as another foundation to health.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so we have, kind of that all-encompassing, because we can't forget sleep, we can't forget stress, we can't forget environment, and whether it's environmental toxins or environmental stressors, or whatever the case may be. And so lifestyle is, well, it's kind of what we create, right? I mean, and that's what we want with this, with Body Bliss, with what we're talking about, is creating that lifestyle, because designing that optimal lifestyle is really what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it very well. But lifestyle, we can either be proactive or we can be reactive. Proactive means you have power. Proactive is jumping on it before something bad happens, or whatever you can do, or being proactive, whatever situation, and meeting it head on, right? And if you're reactive, you have a loss of power. And that's where we don't want that. We don't, I think about, this is totally off topic, but I can't help it. I have I have 3 dogs. One of them is very proactive, and she's right there in your face. The other one reacts to everything. She's reactive. So Aspen is just reactive.
Yeah.
And so I see that, and you see one with power and one who is more anxious. And so just a visual that popped into my head. But it's true. We don't want to lose power in our lives. So being proactive in whatever situation instead of reactive gives us that power.
I think, to dive deeper into maybe the difference between the two, proactive is really about feeling empowered and being intentional, and
perfect. Yeah.
being intentional about what you're doing, versus this is just a matter of what I do every single day. I just get up and I go to work and I sit and it's we don't really question, like, oh, why do I do that? And is that really healthy for me? Or
is it moving me forward?
Is it moving me forward, right? And I think that's the biggest distinguish between proactiveness is feeling empowered and having the resources to know, like, I don't have to keep doing this every day.
Yeah.
I don't have to keep this pattern that isn't really getting me anywhere every day.
Right. Yeah.
So
and it's that awareness too.
Right.
Having the awareness to think through your situation and say, okay, I'm not moving. I'm not getting to where I thought I would be for whatever reason. Let's figure out why and do it.
Yep.
And if it happens to be that there is some physical issue that is, creating, this lack of forward movement, then be proactive.
Right. And then this again comes back down to the brain, the gut, the movement, the mindset. The brain and the movement and how we perceive our awareness of our bodies spatially. The mindset in terms of how we can shift our thoughts and be able to change our choices because of our mindset.
Yeah.
And then our gut and brain being healthy enough to be able to be open for to take on this information. But if our brain and gut's kind of locked in an oversympathetic or overdrive state, we don't have that capacity to, because we're constantly feeling drained.
Yeah.
So it comes back down to those foundations again.
Yeah.
So we've gone through a lot of transition. We've gone through a lot in learning and how to build a course It's been a gift, and we're so excited because we're getting ready to. I mean, we've been launching, but we've been
we've pre-launched a couple of times,
yes.
but we're in the process of pre-launching again,
Yes.
and we are doing this show, yes, as a pre-launch, but as because, well, for one, we're just freaking excited.
Yeah, right.
Because we've learned so much from ourselves, but also from the people who we care for every day, all the time, who deal with these things, you know, the autoimmune conditions and the brain fog and the anxiety and the ADD, ADHD and the autism and the, you know, the pain and the fatigue and all of the things that we talk about that can be a hindrance in life, because they can get better. And so we get excited because when we started designing all of this together, it just has grown and grown and grown and grown into what we think is an amazingly unique program that allows people to learn, each person to learn who they are as unique individual that they are. Mm-hmm. This is a program that you essentially mold to yourself. It gives you the guidance on how to kind of move through the process and make it yours, right? So, which is what we've been talking about. You're unique, you're different, I'm unique and I'm different, and we all need to understand that and find out, at least that beginning phase of finding out the very best that we can, who we are, what we need, and then there's that understanding, okay, now I know how to reach out for more help if that's what I need.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? You're more empowered again. It's shifting. Chances are when you're listening all the way through this session, it's because you're looking for answers, and you know that it's going to take more than a quick fix, right? It's going to take commitment. It's going to take a sense, a willingness to be honest with ourselves, to be vulnerable, and at the end of that, though, to get down and dirty, right? You get something really beautiful growing, and it's your own body and your own health, and that's what I'm really excited for. And with the program that we've been building called Be Epic, right? Body Bliss Be Epic. It's an epic time for you to be able to make change. What's really awesome and I'm excited about is our growing community on Facebook too. So Nikki and I have collaborated, and we put together. We want to be able to want you to have something to take away. So part of that is you have an amazing morning recipe book that you put together that we're giving away. I have some meditations. It's going to tie into mindset. It's going to tie into the nervous system and learning to relax, that we both put together as a gift. And that's what we have available. We want to be able to offer you listeners today. And, and you get that when you join our community, which, by the way, I want to mention is also very educational. It's very collaborative. It's free. It's free. It's supportive. And it's there. So, it's an opportunity for you to learn more about what we've taken across the board. There's really no program out there. It's tying in all the pillars of health that we had just talked about today. And we're pulling that in, and we are making that available. And so you get to follow that journey along with us and empower yourself along the way as we're going on every week, and we're sharing something new that you can connect to. And then being part of the Be Epic program eventually, right? Because that's really the ultimate, is to really shift where you're at. Yeah.
So the Facebook group is free. It really is just to be there to support each other. One of the things that I want to say is really it is geared toward women. We both work with men and women. But we have just found in this particular space that we really wanted to find a space and a place to support women who are basically on the same ride that we are. We all want that support. We all have something that we're kind of dealing with and wanting to help with. And if there are questions, that's what we want. We're in there answering questions. We're doing Facebook Lives. We're chatting it up. We're we're having fun. It's just a supportive community. And so we are having, though, an informative webinar next week, Thursday at noon Mountain Standard Time, that is going to go into detail about the Be Epic program. So we'd love for you to join, but you don't have to join the webinar. You can just join the Facebook group, but we'd love for you to join the webinar. But it'll give a lot more information on the Be Epic program. but yeah, once you join, so you give us your email address because we got to be able to send you stuff. But we have it's the low sugar breakfast recipes, and the meditations that we want to give you because they're fun and they're cool.
Yeah. And also, I mean, just backtracking, I just got lost. Did I say sugar recipes for you, morning recipes?
You didn't say either way. You just said, I think you said breakfast recipes, but they're just low sugar breakfast recipes.
Oh, good.
And inside of the group too, we've got a free no sugar challenge. And
that's so much fun.
Yeah, we're trying to we want you to have the resources just to get started, right? So it's 7 days, well, it's actually a full 5 days of no sugar, and you've got a little prep time, but you can jump in, you can do that challenge whenever you want, you can do it over and over again. And so this is it's just a group for resources, for support, for fun.
If you're looking for inspiration, if you're looking for some challenge, someone to help you think outside a little bit more, it's because you know that you need more, you just don't know where to begin, this is a really great place to start. Yeah.
So we are running a little bit behind, so we want you to join the Facebook group. We're going to post the link in the Facebook posts, but we want to tell you to get on Facebook. I know everybody doesn't do Facebook, but if you do, it is Body Bliss Lifestyle Design is what you're going to look for. It's going to look, well, you saw the post that was up just a minute ago. Henry's taking care of us, but that's what it looks like. So Body Bliss Lifestyle Design, find that. We'll let you in. We'll send you in all of the freebies. So real quick, there it is. Thanks, Henry. You are amazing. That's what it looks like. So it looks exactly like that. So we'd love to see you in it. Real quick, a little bit about where you're found.
Where?
Your practice.
Oh. Where I was found.
Where am I found? It's
my parents
right
tell me in the back of a Kmart garbage.
That's awesome.
Oh, well, where you can find me is you can find us at the handle, Wild Precious Optimal Living. My practice is Wild and Precious Optimal Living, but you can find us at Wild Precious Optimal Living on Instagram or Facebook. You can also just Google us, Wild and Precious Optimal Living on Google, and just pull you right to our website. So, yeah, thanks so much for including that for me.
Yeah, no, I'm just so glad that you came in, and I just love having you as a part of the show.
Thank you.
So you can find me, Taste Life Nutrition, whether it's the website, all of the social media, everything is Taste Life Nutrition. So look out for that. If you go to the website, though, if you are thinking you might need a little bit of extra guidance on something, you can fill out a free analysis or assessment that I have. Totally free. I reach out to you personally. We'll set up a time to chat for a little bit and see if I can help you, in the short term, or if we need to look at, more long term, that kind of thing. So fill that out and just, join the Facebook group. It's super fun. We're having a great time. We're having people join all the time. So awesome. The more people who join, the more support there is, the more we learn. We're learning too. We're learning from the people in the group. So it's a good time. So anyway, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Ciao.
See you, everybody.